Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Krystal, what do we have on the show today?
Got a lot in the show today. There's a big new poll out of Texas with some surprising results. We'll dig into that. Sagar's going to preview Biden's reported debate strategy. We've got some questions there. And also talking to one of the authors of a new book called Socialism Sucks. So we'll dig into all of that and more today on Rising.
All right, Krystal, what's on your radar?
Well, Sagar, times are dark. The world is troubled. Something called black rot is destroying our greatest ally. So let's indulge, if you'll join me, in a plausible fantasy of sorts. You ready? What if Bernie Sanders won Texas? Yes, I know. It's a bit irresponsible. Usually I chalk Democratic dreams of a blue Texas up to the same sort of thinking that brought us the inevitability of the coalition of the ascendant and 100% certainty that Donald Trump was going to lose. But a new poll has got my heart beating and my mind racing, and I just can't resist. So check this out. Univision just did a big poll of Texas, including those general election hypothetical matchups that all the pollsters have warned you about. And here's what they found. None other than the OG Democratic Socialist, Medicare for All championing, class warfare waging Bernie frickin' Sanders, beating Donald Trump by 6 points. Now that margin was better than any of the other candidates, including Mr. Electable Joe Biden and Mr. Texas is my home state, Julian Castro. Remember, not only is Sanders a self-described democratic socialist, but he is also calling to end all subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, ban fracking, and ultimately eliminate fossil fuel use altogether. And this is Texas. The same poll also looked at the Dem primary, and here they found Sanders in third, trailing Biden and Beto, but a deep dive into the demographics revealed why Sanders might be running so surprisingly well in the general election in Texas. He has a secret strength with Latinos. Looking at Latinos nationwide, Sanders has the highest favorability rating of any candidate at an impressive 67%. So it all begs the question, can Bernie Sanders mess with Texas? Sorry, couldn't resist. Now, if there's any state that typifies prototypical America, where the trucks and the guns are big and the social safety net is oh so small, it's Texas. And that is precisely the place where we are all told Sanders' brand of politics should be a complete and utter disaster. After all, Chamber of Commerce type conservatives love nothing more than to opine on the great virtues of the Lone Star State. The low taxes, the low regulation, delightfully paired with a low investment in education, healthcare, and really anything else that might be of use to their working class citizens. Texas is the Reagan Republicans' dream come alive in America. I mean, minus Austin, but let's just not talk about those pinko commies in Austin. Now, I'm not saying that Paul Ryan would weep if Bernie Sanders won Texas, but it's a possibility. And I don't care whether you love him or hate him, if you are a Democrat, the thought of Sanders and his democratic socialism winning in Texas should absolutely delight you. I mean, honestly, the fact that this poll is even remotely plausible should destroy every Clintonian third way DCCC myth about who is electable. This whole notion that to win back rural America, we've got to bury deep down what we actually think about things, that being responsible means allowing millions to languish with low wages and inadequate health care, that we can get away with ignoring or actively screwing working people if we just engage in the right woke virtue signaling. So I've made a list of demands, just a few things that I believe must happen, on a fair play if Bernie does in fact go on to win Texas. You should consider this a living document. It can be amended and expanded between now and 2020. Feel free to leave your own ideas in the comments, of course. So here's what I've got so far. If Bernie Sanders wins Texas, Third Way has to sponsor the next DSA convention. Joe Manchin must co-sponsor the Green New Deal. AOC becomes Speaker of the House, of course, and Justice Democrats take over the DCCC. Everyone who was involved in the Don't Campaign in Michigan strategy is permanently barred from being on your TV ever again. Cornel West takes over Meet the Press from Chuck Todd. And please meet new hosts of Morning Joe, Killer Mike, and Susan Sarandon. I mean, it's only fair, guys. This is just a start, obviously. It seems like the absolute bare minimum that should be required of the establishment, in my opinion. Because in reality, the fact that Sanders could win Texas is proof that FDR-style, class-centric economic populism is not only just, it is also a winning strategy. And y'all have been standing in the way of progress for far too long. This poll should make people's heads explode, Sagar.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. again, it's Texas.
Look, it's a long way out,
I'm from Texas.
The fact that it even has a shot is against conventional wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, well, what does the polling reveal? Is that I think more than anything, it's that this type of policy proposals, but I think on both sides, by the way, are something that shatter the myth of the Reagan-era consensus about how we view politics.
Which infected both the left and the right.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, my main caution is that the right is a lot better suited in order to seize upon that in Texas. If you look, and part of the reason that they all voted for Trump, however, what I will say, Texas is changing, not just demographically in terms of the Latino vote, but really because the code is so good that so many people from California and New York and all these other people are moving to the suburbs of these major metropolitan areas. Yeah. And that is changing the way that people vote.
Also
and it's very interesting.
The growing urban-rural divide is actually beneficial to Democrats in Texas. I mean, people don't realize that Texas is largely an urban-suburban state in terms of the population centers.
Absolutely. I'm from there. I absolutely, one of the things about the myth of the rural Texas, I mean, that is very much something that's stuck in the 1970s. It is a city-state, basically. I mean, you have multiple cities, which are all some of the biggest in the entire country, and then the suburbs which surround them, which fuel the economy, along with oil and gas. So it's an interesting place, but it's not going blue anytime soon.
Like I said, it's still in the fantasy land. But people should take note of this poll. It's so against conventional wisdom.